I am so excited. I am so excited to have the two of you here. This is like I'm going to go out and play the lottery tomorrow because I'm so lucky to have the two of you in the space.
Oh God, that's so funny.
So,
I love the introductory tunes. I was ready to go ooh ooh, you know.
That is what it sounded like and felt like. Oh, that's great.
oh, it's fun and it's upbeat. Well, I would like to welcome everyone to a Chasuel with Cleo the Seer and the cool Crone.
Hi.
I'm Tarot Stash.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. So I have all of my little cards out because I'm like going, okay, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not do anything based upon what we say, blah blah blah. But we're not doing readings today. We're getting to tap into the 60 plus years of experience that is up here with magic and psychic stuff.
Wow.
60 plus years, people.
Wow.
It's awesome. Did I hear a cat?
Yeah, she's all of a sudden she's very needy. So yeah, she's joining in.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we see her tail often.
Yeah.
So links to everyone's channels are below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, Cleo, I have not checked. How many views has your first ever video gotten?
The last I saw, it was 463.
Wow.
That's
really, I gotta thank the people for doing that. I mean, it blows my mind. It does. It totally blows my mind that all these people came to watch my one little 30-minute video that I'm trying to get ready to do another one, and I hope it's better than that one. So, but yeah, I really appreciate all the views.
Oh yeah,
and I've upped my subscribers too, and so thank you for everybody that's been subscribing to my channel. That's just
How many views did you say you had?
463.
Okay, yeah, 468 now, and let's see what your subscribers 688 subscribers. You're almost to 700.
Wow,
which is crazy. Wow. That's crazy, Boots, because 2-3 days ago you were below 600 totally.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
I think little Jesus had something to do with it, but
I do too.
I mean, if you haven't seen the video, everybody go over there. It's pretty spectacular. I mean, okay, so you had little Jesus. I only have little Buddha. Little Dalai Lama. Sorry, Dalai Lama. But I also, because I have to have a balance, I also have Bob from Twin Peaks. They oftentimes hang out together. So, there you go. See, don't we all look alike?
Yeah, you do. You look very cute. I have my kitty, and I also have Grigu.
Nice.
Oh, that's cute.
Baby Yoda.
Yes.
I've got a million of them. I've got them all over my studio. So when people come in here, at first they're like, "Oh, this is really nice. This is really." Wait, is there a whole bunch of those guys staring at me? Yes, there is. They're all staring at you.
Well, okay, and we had Moira said, "Little cheeses."
Yeah.
I'm good with some little cheeses. So anyhow, so everybody, thank you for being here. And if you've never watched something like this before, this is where I have the opportunity to interview these guests and find out all of the details, all of the dirt. And let's ask the obvious question. And I'm not sure everybody knows this, but Cleo, how do you know Colleen? Colleen, how do you know Cleo?
She's my sister.
Yeah, we grew up together.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure, but I have to ask. Sometimes the obvious questions are best. And
Well, and I think we have the same parents.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do. We definitely do.
Okay.
We do.
Yeah. So you didn't get the story like I was apparently found in the cabbage patch? That's what I was told.
Oh no.
Okay.
You were told you were found in the cabbage patch.
Okay. Colleen, help me out here. Cleo's like thinking that's funny. I mean, I wasn't. I'm like when I'm the youngest of 12, so
Wow.
they had to do
That's
something.
bizarre. 12
Yeah.
kids. I just can't even imagine what the household was like having 11 other siblings, that just,
How big was your kitchen table?
yeah, really.
The kitchen table, we had benches on either side, so you can smash a lot of bodies on a bench.
Yeah, especially little bodies.
Yes, especially little bodies. So, let's say hi to some of the best chatters who are here.
Okay.
And Rosie Grammy of 3 is here. Colleen the Cool Crone, Shelly Joe, Moira, and Quiltessa. Ooh, Quiltessa. A tiny hand. Ooh, yay.
Come over here.
Yeah, there you go. The Seer and Crone lottery. Trust me, I will remember the two of you. A-Deb, hello. Calla Lizzie is back. We have Karen Adams, Annie Hamlet,
Hi, Anne.
Plucky Heroine. And yes, I do realize this is what's that show that everybody talks about that it's like saying hi into the mirror. So
I wanted to show you Nick. Nick, say hello. Say hello, sweetie.
Aww.
Come on. She's so uncomfortable. She's like, I just want to show you my tail. That's it. No, I want you to show your pretty face and your beautiful
There you go. Wayne Rich is here. Marvita Dragonfly. I'm loving this. Everybody is here. Thank you. Rosie is here. Some little cheeses and some little crackers. and I would say a very tiny glass of wine for my tiny hands. Because you have to have, those.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all good. Sharon Sipe is here. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Cabbage Patch Stash. There you go.
A new nomenclature.
There you go. Oh my gosh. Mickey Walk is here. I've probably missed some other people, so my apologies. And yes, 12. So let me ask you this. How many were there in your family? I mean, I know 2, like you, is pretty spectacular, but how many are in your family, may I ask?
We have 2 brothers and then us and then the parents. So it was a total of 6.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And all the brothers are older than us.
Okay.
2 older brothers.
Yeah.
2 older brothers.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, all of us were pretty much psychic. I mean, the parents.
really?
Yeah, everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
my oldest brother made it his living for the last, I'd say, maybe 20 years. 20 years of his life, do you think, Cleo?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to him.
Oh, yeah, I know. He's yeah.
But he claimed to be clairvoyant, and I think he had a following. He kind of went to Europe, and he had a falling out with the family. So I didn't keep up with him. I was not impressed with him at all, and I felt like he didn't use his gifts in the right way.
Yeah, he was definitely all about making money.
Oh, I see.
Well, I'll tell you this. Before he became a full-time clairvoyant, he was an attorney, and his specialty was foreign tax shelters. What does that sound like to you? Huh. He also worked in the Soviet Union for the, I think the Brezhnev Institute or something.
Let me get my tiny hands out and try to drink a glass of water as we think about that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I actually knew more about his life, I'd write a book about it because he did a lot of things that were hella crazy. But
yeah. Margot B said, total of 6, 3 girls, 3 boys, the Brady Bunch.
Oh.
That's a big family. That's fun.
And ego driven, not service driven.
That would be my brother.
That would be, yes, that would be him.
Okay.
And by the way, he's no longer with us, and it's hard. It was hard to get really into it because I hadn't seen him for like 25 years, and I just, he had a falling out mainly with my dad, and I've always thought that when you're fighting amongst the family, that it's just such a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
Just a really dumb thing to do. So it's not that I didn't love my brother. I did, but I mean, he just made life difficult for us. So for him to run off to Europe and do whatever the hell he was doing, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. More of the best chatters are coming in. So hi, Debbie. Hi, Sheila. So I'm just going to open this up because I asked people about their origin story. So could you share briefly what got you to where you are right now? And you don't have to talk about non-YouTube stuff. You can talk just about the psychic and the magic stuff, because each of you have different skills. So I mean, and it's great. So I'm going to start with you, Cleo. Is that okay?
Sure.
Well, it's if it's not okay, Cleo, we're starting with you. It's my show. We're going to start with you.
That's fine.
So.
And mine's a much shorter one. I mean, Colleen will probably have a much more interesting story to tell. I mean, through the my teenage years and stuff, I knew that I was probably psychic, but I just didn't put much into it. It didn't mean that it was just a natural thing. And like we said, everybody else was a little bit psychic, so I didn't think much about it. It wasn't until I got way older and I was ran into some trouble in my life, and I was unwell. I ended up losing everything. I lost my house and everything in it. And I had nowhere to go, and I was too sick to work. And so, when I got down to that point where I'd just been stripped of everything and trying to figure out what I was going to do, that's when, well, actually, I'll tell you what I did. I just bitched a lot, and I just kept bitching and bitching. Why am I in this position? What am I going to do? I was living out of my car. Thank God I had my dog Betty with me, because it was just me and Betty against the world. And so, yeah, I mean, I just bitched about it a lot. And then suddenly one day something started talking to me, and I just was like, actually what they said was something to the effect of, when you stop complaining and feeling sorry for yourself, let us know. We're here to help. And I thought, well, no, I'm not going to stop complaining. I am going to continue to feel sorry for myself. So it took more time. And then after that, finally, I realized that, yes, there was something there for me. And that's when I totally got into that. I just threw myself into it because I really didn't know what to do. And this voice in my head was saying that they wanted to help. And I'm thinking, I am so crazy at this point that I might as well just accept this. I mean, I had never heard of spirit guides. I didn't know what that was. So I thought I was nuts. I went along with it. And then after a while, then Jesus came through, and he started helping me to go to the right doctors, to get better, to do some. I went back to school. He would show me stuff like how to eat, how to get back on schedule, and through the doctors, how to get well. And it took years. But after a while, when I realized what was happening, that's when I totally realized that, yeah, this was something beyond me. And this is kind of what I'd signed up for. Not knowing that in the beginning, but it's something that I had to go through, and it was the most valuable experience in my life. And I am now the most grateful person on the planet to have gone through the very worst, for me anyway, the very worst things I could have gone through. So that's how I got here.
Okay. I mean, and Moira D said, Cleo, crazy? You seem so sane, relatively.
Oh, thank you. Relatively sane. I like that.
Well, and one of the beautiful things about that, Cleo, for when you write your autobiography, I think it's important I think you nailed it. No, I'm not going to quit arguing and complaining and all that stuff. You owned that. This is what I'm going to do. And,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive, because then you started to hear and you started to actually listen.
Yeah.
So, Beth asked, how long did that go on, Cleo?
The bitching and moaning went on for a couple of years. And then after that, when I actually connected originally with my uncle who had passed away a few years before I was born. And then it kind of morphed into the Jesus thing, because I just wasn't taking the whole thing seriously. And my guides were starting to realize that I actually could hear them and I
Right.
was paying attention. And so when Jesus came into it, and I said this on my opening video, I said, the whole experience, I kind of freaked out. But when Jesus came into it, you talk about freak out on steroids, because I kept thinking, what horrible things have I said that Jesus has been listening to, because I was so, I was just in a bad place. So yeah, I was using some very colorful language. But anyway, I
Yeah.
found out that it really doesn't matter how you talk to your spirit guides, and they kind of understand when you're frustrated and
Yes.
not knowing what to do. And so anyway, yeah, I would say the whole process, wow, it probably took really about 8 years before I really, I mean, I just kept following the process. I didn't tell anybody about it, and I didn't look into anything about this. And being psychic was not on my schedule of things to do. I didn't yet even think about it being psychic. I just thought about how I was going to survive, and then I knew that something was telling me things that were very, very helpful. Plus, I was just all this love that came through. And I thought, what is this about? I just felt like, stop, I'm not worthy. What are you doing? And then, but yeah, I would just this overabundance of love, because that was the best way to get through to me. And yeah, it was an experience of a lifetime, and
And
amazing.
Beth suggested Cleo's autobiography. Are you there, spirit guides? It's me, Cleo.
Perfect.
Great title.
Yes. And Calla Lizzie says Jesus has been around a long time. He's heard curses we've never dreamed of.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Cleo. Colleen, what about you?
Oh, where to begin? So, I think I was born knowing that there was magic in the world. I have always believed in signs and magic and all sorts of different weird religious beliefs like reincarnation and um, deities and powers and just all of that stuff. Just for me was just like, let's go play. I love all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember I was pretty young. I think I was just in elementary school. I don't think I was even reading yet. I remember seeing in the clouds. I saw a hand come out of the clouds and beckon to me, just like, come here. And I was like, okay, I'm here. Let's go.
Wow.
That was my early just connection to everything. I mean, I have always identified as a witch ever since I was a little kid. And I took a lot of hassle from my siblings because of that. And my mom didn't, bug me so much. Not even my dad. They were just kind of like, yeah, it's Colleen. But my siblings were a little bit like, what? What are you talking about? And now they're all doing it. I mean, my brother's psychic, my sister's psychic. They all have this little connection. But pursued, I'm a bookworm, you know, I pursued reading about all of this stuff. And when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot to get your hands on because this was the 60s. So if any, you know, if I had a chance to go to any of the metaphysical bookshops, I think there was like two in Seattle, I would go and I would make sure I took as much money as I could and I would buy everything that I could. So I read about a lot of stuff. And also our oldest brother, the one that's kind of shady, he is 10 years older than me. So by the time I was 8, he was entering college and he got interested in the country of India and all the religions of India. And he took a job with India Airlines and he started taking trips back and forth to India and really getting to know Hindu culture. And so he started sending me things like pictures of all the gods and goddesses and, you know, little statues and totems and things like that. And I took a real interest in it. I took it very seriously because like I said, I was just really into all of that stuff. And I didn't even know what that stuff was. I was literally a very small child and just going, yeah, Ganesha, let's go, you know. People in Seattle in the early 60s were just like, what is that child talking about? So I took a lot of heat from people. My peers, their parents thought I was just totally weird. They did not want me to be around their kids. By the time I got into like middle school, high school, I was just kind of universally accepted as that weird girl. You know, I was that weird girl. I wore too much makeup. I talked about witchcraft. I talked about astrology. I had tarot cards. I had whatever I had, you know, shells, rocks, you name it. I had all sorts of stuff. And I just really never stopped learning about stuff. I just loved it. So, you know, by the time I got into college, I had read enough about, and there were enough books out about things having to do with witchcraft that I kind of had a more complete picture of what I could do with this and what I wanted to do with it. You know, and then I got into, you know, adult life and marriages and kids and all that stuff. And I never really stopped doing any of it. I've always done astrology since I think I started throwing charts when I was like 10 or 11 or something. I mean, really young and before computers. So like doing the stupid math and it was just, you know, like took 3 hours to do it, but I was doing it and I was doing readings for other people, for adults. And, my readings were true. I mean, I look at the lives of those people and the readings I did for them, and I'm like, yep, I told you that was going to happen. And you looked at me like I had 3 eyes, but it happened. So
I told you so. I told you so.
Exactly. So, you know, through my marriages and my kids and stuff like that, I didn't have as much time to devote to my metaphysical stuff. So once my kids got much older and I was hitting my second divorce, I finally sought out I know, hey, I have a track record and, you know, what I do. But, I sought out a coven and I found a really nice coven. I love my high priestess. She's really smart. And studying with her really helped me pull all the stuff together that I had studied for my whole life. And it just gave me a much better a cohesion to my practice. I mean, and in the meantime, in the travels along the way, I had tried different religions and stuff, and, you know, tried different things. And so all of those things really kind of came together with what she was teaching me. And I really appreciated that. It really helped me use my spiritual gifts, my psychic gifts, and gave me the idea that I could just keep developing everything, that I wasn't confined to the things that I already did. And I remember one year she did like sort of like evaluations on us, like a job review, you know. She said, the one thing that I'm going to tell you, and I was like, oh, here she goes. And she said, you're fearless. You just keep learning and trying things and believing that you can do it. Keep doing that. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, great. Somebody sees me.
Somebody sees me and appreciates me.
Yeah, it says that it's okay. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep expanding and learning, because I figure, here comes the cat again. I had to let her out. That's why I turned off the camera. That, if you stop learning, kind of like, are you ready to like shuttle off to, Mexico? I mean, are you just like ready to cash it in? No.
Yeah.
So learning is something that I really like to do. And teaching is something I really like to do. I teach in my civilian job. I taught when I was studying music. I taught music. I studied acting for many years. I taught acting. I really like teaching. And I find that the more I learn about just the topics that I like and things that I'm good at, the more it's like all of a piece. It's all the same. You breathe, you prepare, you follow through, and it's all the same. And I love that. I just love that about witchy stuff and metaphysical stuff, and even like YouTube. I mean, it's all the same. I find it very comforting to know that if you just do what you love and love yourself while you're doing it, you can do anything and you can have fun doing it. And that's kind of my philosophy in life.
I just wanted to mention, Colleen makes it sound like she was a little weirdo growing up.
I was a little
I
weirdo.
didn't see it that way at all. I said Colleen was actually, like the star kid. She was the youngest. She did everything right. She got good grades. She was a cheerleader. She was, she played piano. She was good at that. She was a great singer. I mean, all the things that she was doing, plus the astrology. I did think that's the only time I thought she was a little bit weird, because I thought, what little kid spends so much time, these charts, the astrological charts just seem, they just seem crazy to me, but I love looking at them because I think they look cool. But as far as reading them and understanding them and talking about the planets and the degrees of this and that and what house you're in and stuff, and I'm like, who cares? But she did, and she was just totally into it. And I don't recall her. I didn't know until just now, really, that when she was a little kid, she thought she was a witch. I didn't know she thought she was a witch until about, I don't know, like 20 years ago or something. And I really did think she said, everybody thinks I'm a bitch. And I'm like, what? Wait, no, that's not. You say bitch? He goes, no, witch. And I'm like, a witch? I said, no, you're not that either. And because I didn't understand. I didn't understand that the Wiccan thing and the witches and warlocks and all the goofy things that both you and Colleen are into, Gerald, that that it was really a positive thing and a good thing. And I'd always had the connotations, like many other people, that it was not a good thing, but it really is. And I never really saw Colleen as a weird kid, but apparently she was, other than some of the astrology and stuff she was into. I don't recall her talking about being a witch, but in the family, she was like daddy's little princess, and she was always doing the right stuff. Plus, she looked just like my mom, so that helped. And I just loved it that there was so much focus on her, because I was more of the problem child, and I was more trying to. I was always looking for excitement and causing trouble. I wasn't being productive like she was. So as long as they wanted to focus on her, I was like, yes, get off my case and go see what great thing is Colleen doing, is I'm, like skipping school and getting in trouble. But
wait a minute. You skipped school?
Oh God, yes. I hated school.
She hated
Okay.
I hated school until I got much older and I went back to school, and then I did really good. And I understood, it was the first time in my life I understood why people even liked school. But I did much better.
Very nice.
Do you remember, I think I was in about junior high. I'd have to check the year of when this came out, but I got those tapes of, well, it would have been when cassette tapes came out. So maybe I was in high school, because I think cassette tapes came out even while we were still using 8 tracks. But I got this tape of Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization. And I wore that thing out. I had to go buy another one because I just listened to it every night. And I was trying to tell you, I think you and Pat, I was trying to tell you guys about it, how wonderful it was that you could visualize this stuff and make things happen. And I remember you guys just looking at me like, what in the hell are you talking about? Who are you? You're not of our tribe. And I was like, no, this is great. You put everything in a pink bubble and you let it float away. And you guys are just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So the first time that my brother Pat, who is also pretty psychic, the first time he ever called me and said, now I'm going to ask you a little psychic question. So I want you to put your psychic hat on and just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't edit it. And I'm like, Pat, I know how to do a psychic reading, but whatever. He's like, I just want to know. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, you want me to answer your questions now. But what did you say to me when I was talking about the pink bubble, huh? Where were you then?
That's right.
And what's funny about that is my brother would do the same thing with me. And it was really, really helpful for me because I wasn't into doing readings for people. I wasn't into any of that. I was into just helping myself because of the situation I had come across, that I just needed that kind of help. So when he would call me, he actually taught me how to do readings, because he would call me up and say the same thing that he would say to Colleen. And Colleen and I didn't even compare notes for a while. She's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, and we were talking one day and I said, does Pat ever call you up and say this? She goes, yes. And she goes, God, it's just so irritating. She goes, of course I know how to do readings. And I said, I didn't. So it totally helped me. I really appreciate what he did. But
oh yeah,
it's funny that we go all through these years and not really even knowing what each other was doing. But part of it was because Colleen ends up on the in New Jersey and I'm in Washington State. So but yeah, Colleen always was branching out and doing and trying different things and stuff where that wasn't me at all. I mean, like Colleen traveled Europe by herself and I'm like, what? Are you nuts?
Well,
but
yeah, she is nuts. That's why she went to Europe.
Yeah.
On her own.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, right now 120 of the best chatters are watching.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you everybody for being here.
Yes.
And want to draw attention to some of the starred comments. Book Bewitched is a new member for you, Colleen.
Hey, thank you, Book Bewitched. Thank you.
And
wow. I saw another new member come up here, but I couldn't tell if it was my channel or not. But whoever the new member is, welcome. Oh, look at that.
Yes. And Book was like going, who did I just re-sign up? I needed to change bank cards. Who is a dedicant?
Oh, that's my channel. So
yep.
Yeah, you're on my channel. Great.
Yep. It's all good.
Great.
All good.
Okay, great.
So your parents were psychic as well. And did you ever talk about it with them around the table?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. You know how in some families where they have 2 languages, the parents will talk the one language so that the kids don't understand. Psychic was their secret language. They would not talk about it with us.
Well, no, they didn't see themselves as psychic. Every once in a while, my dad would say something, and we'd all be looking at him like, "How did you know that?" And we didn't ask that, but he'd go, "Oh, I must be psychic, or maybe I'm psychic," and I'm like, "Duh, no wonder I can't get away with anything." Right. He's got eyes in the back of his head, and my mom was just. Well, her mom was a tea leaf reader. Is that what you call it?
And I think she had cards too, but she was like the wise woman. People would come from all over the place and get readings with her. And I don't even know if she charged people, but she was hella psychic. She was
so my mom, she had that in her background, but she didn't. Neither one of my parents said we're psychic.
No.
One thing, my dad was a doctor, so he didn't probably think it would be a good advertisement to say, yeah, come and see me as your doctor. Oh, by the way, I'm a psychic. you know.
Yeah,
But I think Cleo was embarrassed by her mom's thing on the one hand, because it wasn't like normal, it wasn't kosher. On the other hand, I think she thought it was really cool because she never said anything to me about like, oh, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't tell people, or you shouldn't talk about. She never did. She was very supportive. She bought me lots of my books, and she was very,
that's cool.
very, very, and I was just shocked, especially as I got older and I heard other people's stories about, oh no, I was in this or that church and we couldn't do any of that stuff. And I'm thinking, really? All those churches have all that mysticism shit going on, and they wouldn't let you throw a couple of cards on a table? That's crazy. I just thought it was nuts because I just didn't have that. I just wasn't clamped down like that in our house.
Yeah, no, I would totally support Colleen in whatever she was doing. Whether I agreed with it or not was irrelevant. But the same with my brothers, whatever they were into, then that's what they were into, and I respected that.
Yeah.
So,
well, you gave me my first deck of tarot cards.
Yeah, I don't recall that, and I don't know what I was thinking about.
Well,
what was it?
I still have them. It was a Marseille deck. It was one of those little small Marseille decks. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do with this? They all look like the same. And how do I read it? I need the pictures. I need the cards with the pictures. And then I think like maybe the next year I ended up going to the store and getting the cards with the Rider-Waite, a little mini albino deck with the white back. And I loved that deck. I had
so let me just ask this. Then we can just blame Cleo for you and your addiction to cards. Well, you don't have an addiction to cards.
That's right, Gerald. We can just blame Cleo.
Blame Cleo.
She didn't just read the tarot cards that you buy. I mean, she started way a long time ago. She would read playing cards, and she actually wrote up and sent me all this information about how to read playing cards. And I just wasn't very good at the tarot, and I would look at them and I'm thinking, I can't memorize all this stuff. And I just didn't get the connection because I hadn't reached that point in my life yet. I wasn't into reading, period. And so I never really grasped the concept of it. Now that I've been on YouTube and watching all you people that do this, I love what you're doing with the tarot because, it leads up to where you're going, and I see how it's being used as a tool, and it makes the whole reading thing so much more interesting. So when we're doing readings, a lot of times I keep thinking, well, how can I elaborate on this to make it more interesting? And I just don't go there. I just spit out whatever I'm being told. I love the way that tarot card readers do what they do on here, and both Gerald and Colleen are doing that, and it's really fun to watch.
Well, thank you. And I will say, Cleo, you do not give yourself enough credit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You are a good reader, and you don't need the cards. And when you have them, great. So, I mean, your stuff hits really well.
Yeah.
Well, I use the cards the most on Caffeinated and Unfiltered, so I have been learning something from that. So, I don't think I'll ever be a really good tarot card reader, but just to add the cards to some things, I'm working on that because I think it's fun.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
And Val is here, and Linda Day Gonzalez.
Oh boy, just a whole group in here. Wonderful.
We've got, as I said, now we have 124 of the best chatters who are watching.
Nice.
So this
really
is
nice.
awesome.
And Book Bewitched says she blames me for random things. I love that.
As it should be, Book Bewitched. As it should be. This is why you are a dedicate.
Well, here's the thing. I have it on a stash tag, so it has to be true. Yeah. And we've seen it on the internet. Everything on the internet is true.
That's right. So Gerald, I don't know if all the listeners know the origin story of how Cleo came to be on YouTube.
Please do tell.
So I had been on YouTube for a while, and I wanted to start, and I was doing videos. I was editing like 15, 20 videos every month and putting them up and killing myself doing it. Yeah, it was crazy. And and my daughters kept saying, you should just do live streams. It's so much easier. You don't have to edit, and I'm like, oh God, then my hair has to be perfect and yada, yada. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just practice doing something and I'll just get someone to practice with me. So I decided to ask my sister because I knew that she was psychic and I knew that she was kind of, open to a lot of the subjects that I was interested in. And
Mhm.
I can't remember the first one that we did. Do you remember, Cleo?
Egypt.
Egypt. We talked about Egypt, and it was recorded. We did a recorded video, and I edited it, and then we put it up, and it got some views. It was good, and we enjoyed it. And then we decided to do more, and we had some plans on doing a few more. So we did, I think, one more, and then I think I talked you into just doing it live. And so
Uh-huh.
we just got on there and we had our conversation and it was fine. And what she was bringing to the pre-recorded videos is I would ask her a bunch of questions beforehand and she would talk to her guides about it. And then she'd
Mhm.
make some notes for herself and she'd bring those on. So like I said, we did that like twice and we had plans to do a third one. And then we just decided, oh, let's just go live. And I think, did we have someone on with us?
Well, it's a huge break in between. It was like 6
Right.
months.
Yeah,
6
that's right.
months between things. And I think one of the first ones we did was with Susan Lynn.
Yeah, and then Scott too. We did one with
Oh
Scott.
yeah, that Scott guy. But I didn't know at that point in time anything about what YouTube was about and all these psychics and the psychic community, and I just didn't know what I was getting into. But
Yeah.
and I just kept thinking, so what's the big deal? And I just wanted to get it done with, because she wanted to do this. So I was trying to help her.
Yes, she was
But
trying.
I was just going to drop the whole thing once I was done with it. My spirit guides wouldn't let that happen. And they just kept, they were really the ones that brought me on here through her. And I just wasn't getting it. And
Yeah. So let me jump in here. So we do the live with Scott and she's nervous and she's saying, I don't know if I'm really going to be able to contribute because I mean, usually I sit down with my guides, and I get my information and like I write it out and all that stuff. And I was like, well, that's okay. You can do that. Just come on, just, and just see what happens. So she comes on the first time and she like adds a couple of things from her guides. And then we get done. And she said, I was getting all sorts of messages. And I said, oh, really? I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Could have told you that 6 months ago, but I just said, gee, let's try it again. So kind of tricked her into doing it. And then we had Susan Lynn. And then her and Susan Lynn, like 2 balls of fire, just going.
Oh, wow.
So, now she's just blah, 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 messages are just coming out. It was like a cartoon character. Just thing was just blah, everything was coming out. And she's like, oh, I like that. That's fun. And I don't know if that's when you started getting the different spirit guide groups coming in or not, but it wasn't just Jesus, honey. It was
right. Right. Now I do have different, and Jesus is the main one, but there's different ones for different topics. But the thing with Susan Lynn, she was so helpful because I've watched her, and when I was working with her, doing the shows with her, she just is so transparent and talked about her spirit guides all the time. And I thought, God, that's exactly what I think, and that's exactly what I do. And so that was really helpful because that made me think maybe I do have something to contribute here, which before that I just thought no. But yeah, Susan Lynn is amazing, and I'm just so glad that she presents herself the way she does because it's helpful for everybody.
Susan Lynn is somebody who is on my wish list of people to chat with. I've not done that yet. So let me just sum that up. Your presence on YouTube, I can blame Colleen for that.
Yes, absolutely. But she was going by, whether she knows it or not, she was under the influence of my guides to do that. True. My guides had it all along that I was going to do this. And when they first told me I was going to do that, I go, no, I'm not. They go, sure you are. I said, no, I'm not. Oh, they're like, okay, well, whatever. We know what Cleo does. She always denies us. and then after a little period of time, I come around.
Yes.
When she stops complaining, she comes around.
Yeah,
I sense a theme. I sense a theme.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, but I think, but that is a legit. That's a legit thing, because a lot of times, I complain. I can bitch with the best of them, and I can make some of you blush with a few of the things that I would say. You know, I've just lost probably 100 subscribers from that, but it's just like, but that's the honest reaction that you are having, and
Yeah.
you're owning it, and you're letting it out there. And because then it's like letting air out of the balloon, and suddenly you go, huh, maybe I think about this a little differently. And that's Gerald's, Gerald's thing. So,
Well, then you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to say, instead of just sticking to your guns and saying, no, I'm not going to do this, you have to be willing to let the whole thing in and kind of look at what's going on. I would never have guessed how much YouTube has helped me, and how much all the people on here that I've worked with have helped me, because I didn't see that coming. It was never something on my radar. I didn't say to myself, okay, one day this is going to happen. However, I will tell you guys a little secret, because I thought about this recently, of when did this actually come up? When did my guides actually tell me I was going to be doing something like this? And it was almost at least 15 years ago. And at the time, they had said something, if something ever comes up where we want you to do something for us, would you do it? And I remember thinking, boy, be careful, because if you say something,
yeah.
that's such a broad thing. But I just kept thinking, I really trusted in them. So I said, well, sure, yeah. And I probably thought about it for maybe a week or so, and nothing ever came of it. And like I said, this was 15 years ago. So when this thing came up about YouTube, and the guides were talking to me about it, and I'm saying no, and they said, yeah, but you said you would. I said, what? I never said that.
Oh.
And your guides knew I was just ripe for the picking, because
Oh, absolutely.
all those years when I was living, with at home when we were growing up, I spent hours in the bathroom creating interviews and
Yeah.
making things and demonstrating things and selling things. I thought I was going to end up on Johnny Carson. Little did I know I would end up on YouTube, because it didn't exist then. So.
Yeah. Oh my
Well, and
God.
I also feel like all the people that I've met, like Gerald and others that I'm on shows with, that this is all by design. It was meant to
Yeah.
be that I should meet these people. And
Mhm.
so this has been just an amazing experience for me.
Yeah, well, and me too. I mean, you can't imagine how loving and wonderful it is for me, after my whole life of feeling like I'm the only person in the universe who thinks about this stuff, to
Mm-hmm.
find out that there's just millions of people who think about this stuff.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just so great.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. Yeah. I have funny things. Yeah. Uh, Colleen, you are so accomplished. Bravo.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Bravo.
Yes,
Thank you.
And yes, your guides are very patient and kind of snarky, Cleo.
sneaky.
Kind of sneaky.
Did
They
I say
are.
snarky?
They
Sorry.
figured out right away.
Yeah.
Well, they figured out that's how they deal with me, because mostly they'll bring stuff up to me, and from the very beginning I would say, no, not going to happen. And then, they would figure out ways to, uh, they're never demanding or anyway. It's this guidance. It's always amazed me how they do what they do. And by the way, they all have a great sense of humor. And so
Oh yes.
that worked well for me.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
definitely.
Very much so.
I have to go shut the curtains. I've got the sun coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
the sun is coming. Yay.
There you go. Yeah. Well, 145 people are watching, so you all are doing so great. Thank you for being here. Yeah, kind, not king of and sneaky. Sorry. I mean, I can't read, so that's okay. So, okay. So it sounds like the two of you have a different skill set per se.
Mm-hmm. Very
Um,
different, yeah.
very, very different. And I do want to draw attention to 65 plus years of experience is here, people. 65 plus years. I mean, if you wonder why I'm vibrating, it's because of this. I'm like going, oh my gosh. So, and so, so each of you have a different skill set, and I'm curious if you could tell us how you developed your skill set, because I'm curious about that, because I believe that people are relating to what they see themselves in what you're sharing, and I'd love to know how did you develop your skills?
I developed my skills I spent at least 3 years every day thanking God and trying to hear what Jesus is telling me. And I mean, that is how the skill set came about, is this constant, because I had to. If I didn't have to, I don't think it ever would have worked out this way, but I didn't know what to do. And so they were trying to tell me. And we would actually play little games. Like sometimes um, they would tell me stuff that made no sense. And so I'm like, what are you telling me that for? And they'd be like, what are we telling you what? And so I would repeat it and they'd be laughing. They said, we just wanted to see if you heard us. And that was the best test, was to come up with something. And and other people might run into that too, that they get these messages and like, what did that mean? And it's really just a little test to see if you're actually
Yeah.
hearing the right stuff. So yeah, I took a long time and I just kind of devoted myself to it. I felt like a monk. I mean, I
Mhm.
just was just totally into it because I realized that this was my way out of the worst situation in my life, and it worked.
That's beautiful. Plucky Heroine asked a question. Cleo, have your abilities increased since you went live or public?
Yes, when you're doing this on YouTube and you're constantly making that connection, before I'm making the connection just for myself, I didn't realize how different it was going to be to do the readings from people in that chat section. So that constant connection with the spirit, definitely, definitely,
Mhm.
it increases. I couldn't tell you how much it's increased, but it's a lot. But yes, that definitely happens.
Cool. So, Colleen, how did you develop your skills?
Well, the astrology came, when I was a kid. I learned how to read. I looked at the newspaper that my dad was reading every day. The first thing I went to was the horoscopes, and I said, "This is a crock of shit. How can they say that everybody born under Aries is going to have this experience today?"
Mhm.
So I started researching it and read and read and read, and then my older brother again, um, a few years after that, when I was probably 8 or 9, he had a girlfriend who was also studying astrology, or maybe she was already an astrologer, and she gave me a few hints. They took me to a bookstore. I got some more books. And then a couple of years after that, he had a new girlfriend who was totally a professional astrologer. And she actually taught me how to do the math and how to do all the stuff, gave me her notes from her classes. And then I started doing charts for people because I was already interpreting things on charts that were just roughly done. But once I could do the math and get really exact, then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm a pro. So that was just study. That was just
Mhm.
studying. And a lot of it came naturally, probably from 500 lifetimes of being an astrologer or something, because it just really came naturally. The cards were a little different. I hung on to my tarot cards until I could really spend some time with them, because I was really into astrology. And, I was a kid, I had school and
Mhm.
dance practice and cheerleading and all that crap. So there wasn't a lot of time for cards, but I did in college. I really did a lot of cards for people. You're drinking, you're smoking,
Of course, yeah.
everybody has angst and teenager stuff. And so I
Mhm.
would do readings for them. Um, Mainly when I was drunk, obviously. And of course, that just, made me believe that I was a totally professional psychic. When I got into grad school, my roommate had actually been to a school, I think I want to say in San Francisco. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a pretty well-respected school that teaches psychic development. And she taught me a lot. She just taught me how to read cards, basically.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who taught me how to read the playing cards the method I still use today. And then as I just kept doing them, I developed my own way of reading and my own methods of doing things. And I've just ever since, I just keep buying more tarot decks because I like them. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the books are very helpful. I know there's quite a few authors that are really, really good. Eileen Connolly is really, really good. But there's some other authors, people who have created tarot decks that are just phenomenal, the
Yes.
information there. And I've read their books. And so I just keep
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And I have to say, when I started doing parties and fairs, and like I work the New York Ren Fair, which is a 7-week long fair every weekend for 7 weeks. When you do stuff like that, you don't really have time to think about how good your readings are. You're just
Yeah.
reading. So
You're going. Yes.
yeah, that's more of an exercise, more of a spiritual exercise of how to protect yourself from people's energy, how to release their energy, how to let go of the last reading and ground yourself and go on to the next thing. So that was a really good exercise for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much a good exercise for reading, but it was a good experience for me to practice mediumship, which I call myself a baby medium.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little bit of a medium, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on it. And I do use that a lot in my readings. So,
Yes.
that's, yeah. And so that's what that was good for too.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. I mean, a lot of love for the two of you in chat.
Oh,
A lot of love, and I'm having a hard time keeping up. And so I think it's amazing. I'm trying to catch. Okay. Well, I'm gonna bankrupt myself on following the chat because all of the best chatters are here. So, Colleen, did you ever think of designing your own deck?
I have, and I'm a really bad artist. So I would have to partner with somebody who's a really good artist who could
Mm-hmm.
share my vision. But yeah, maybe someday. I'm still working full time right now, so
Yeah.
things like that are for the future. When I'm not doing the full time job and I'm just doing this full time, then I'll
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of those things. But sure, I've thought about it, but like I said, crappy artist. So
Well, I have people who ask me, they're going, Gerald, are you going to make a deck? Are you going to make a deck? And I'm like, going, why? There are so many good decks out there.
mhm.
They're really good decks. So, um, and the Care Bear said, Colleen, I would love to hear more about that sometime. Mediumship.
Well, in a nutshell, I took the course twice from I took a couple of courses from they were co-taught by Debbie Hedberg and Kim Casey from Intuitive View. Debbie Hedberg is Freebird Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent courses. They ran the courses really, really well. They
Mm-hmm.
gave you lots of practice time, and that got me off and running. And I took two different classes from them. I don't think I took the same class twice, but it was very, very helpful to have instruction, to just have somebody say, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do to practice. And now just practice. Because, if you don't have someone to practice with, it's kind of hard to develop those things. And if you don't have some pressing need to practice, you're not going to practice. So you
Yeah.
take a class.
Yeah. I do think I agree with you. Classes are very, very helpful. And practice is really very important because Cleo, what you're talking about is your guides were forcing you to practice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you would go,
they taught me all of the stuff that you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
mhm.
And it did take a long time. And you know, I would think that, you know, some of the stuff I did just seemed so crazy at the time, like looking into a mirror and talking into a mirror, because my guides were saying they wanted to see my reflection, and that the eyes are the windows to the soul. And that's absolutely true. And so when I did it that way, it became even clearer, because they could see exactly what I was talking about. And so for anybody that's interested in this, I know it sounds crazy and you might want to hide it from everybody else so they don't put you in a psych ward, but that is really a very helpful thing to do if you don't have anybody to work with, to go in front of a mirror and talk about what you're getting. And pretty soon your guides are just right there with you. And they love it, because something about, they can see through to your soul through your eyes. It's just, I know it sounds crazy, but it's really a helpful thing to do.
No, mirror work is suggested by quite a few teachers.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, mirror work is like really, really helpful. It's helpful for anything from you know, loving yourself, building up your self-esteem, letting go of guilt, shame, jealousy, disappointment, practicing your spiritual gifts, tuning into guides, or tuning into another level like angels, or even galactics, or your higher self. Mirror work is really, really helpful for that. Yeah. So,
very true. In fact, we just did some mirror work in my coven recently. So it's something that what I appreciate in like doing a Chasuel and talking and getting to know people online is we're talking about similar things, and each of us is having our individual experiences with them. And I think that is incredible. I love that. I love that. So
it is.
Okay, we are at an hour. Do you still have time? The two of you still have time?
I'm okay. Are you okay, Cleo?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay. Because somebody did ask.
Harley had a couple of questions that I wanted to address.
Go for it.
So she asked, when you were a child, did you actually know how to read the tarot, or did you just have a knowing of what they were saying? I think the latter. I think I just had kind of a knowing. Like I might have looked up like the first card, and then after that I would just say what was coming into my mind, and usually it was a pretty good reading. And she also asked, do you think you inherited all those talents, like your ability to play the piano and your spiritual gifts from past lives? Absolutely. I've had many, many visions of myself as an astrologer in France. I can see it so clearly. I can see my studio. I can see all the stuff around me, all the books and paper and ink, and I can see it all very, very clearly. Many lifetimes in like Egypt and probably Atlantis and all over Mesopotamia, because they all used astrology. And I think in a lot of those lifetimes, I was probably an astrologer priest or priestess, and you know, did a lot of stuff that I kind of do now. So I think, yeah, it's all of that. It's all driven by that. And I think maybe this lifetime, you know, I know I had a lot of things to work on. I'm still working on things, but I know I had a lot of lessons to work on that had nothing to do with my spiritual gifts, and yet I put in a lot of roadblocks for myself to those spiritual gifts. Just to make it interesting.
You know, one of the things, I don't know if we already mentioned this, but one of the things about our family is everybody's musical. Everybody plays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was my main focus. Like when I was in high school and stuff, I just wanted to be a rock and roll star.
Yep.
And instead I just sat around and I wrote lots of tunes, and I learned how to, I had built a studio in my house, and I play a whole bunch of different instruments.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
we did some music together too. And I also was in a band with my brother. We did, you know, we did music together. Our oldest brother played the piano quite vociferously. God, he was angry when he played the piano. But our older brother is quite a talented musician, keyboardist, and he writes. But my sister, man, I don't think you met an instrument you couldn't play. And she's very, very talented. And she figured out all the recording stuff when we were still using reel-to-reel tape. And she did the whole, I mean, she started out after piano lessons that we all had. She decided, oh, I think I'll just be a drummer. Not many girls in the 60s did that.
No.
She did,
No.
and she did it well. She did it really well.
But unfortunately, now that you can do all that stuff with computers, I don't know how to do it with computers.
I know. It's
I'm too old.
That's all right. Cleo, we have a question for you from Harley. Cleo, would you say that one of the hardest things that keeps you from starting is how you may be judged, or if you're believed or not?
I started what?
As you started working with your guides and communicating, being a medium and a psychic.
Well, definitely I thought about being judged because I was I wasn't as stable mentally during that time as I am now. And so yes, yeah, I totally did not want anybody to interfere, and I didn't want anybody's input, and I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing because it was all about me, it was all personal, and it was all about survival. So yes, I did hide the whole thing.
Sure. And from the Oracle T, Thelma Andrews, question: has anyone ever had your spirit guides yell at you?
Yes.
Absolutely.
When I was first learning it, especially, they came in all of a sudden when I was totally into it, way too loud. And I had to figure out a way. And I just told them, I said, you're too loud. Now, this is going to sound totally crazy. I think what it felt like to me is that, like, when I was talking to God and God was talking to me, that was super loud. When it came down to Jesus, then it started to get calmer and easier. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but that's just what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
No, consider who you're talking with. It's not that crazy.
I've got to step away from here for just a second.
Okay. Do your guides yell at you?
I have had my guides wake me up with messages, and it's rare, but yeah, I've had them yell, mainly to wake me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, one of the things, I quit smoking 7 or 8 years ago. And one of the things that I did was I made a promise to a particular goddess that I work with that I would quit smoking. And she said yes. And so it's amazing that if you want to quit something like that, you connect with one of your spirit guides, a goddess, a deity of some sort. Because my question is, do I want to have that 5 minutes of nicotine, or do I want to piss a particular goddess off? I have never had another cigarette after that. And let me tell you, I do not want to piss a particular goddess off. So it's like, woo.
I can relate, Gerald. I went through that situation myself. I'd smoked for like 40 years, and I quit smoking not through this stuff, but through vaping. I went from cigarettes to vaping, which was really easy. And then when the vaping became dangerous and people were dying from lung problems and stuff, and I think that was a different thing entirely. But anyway, I just said, oh, okay, well, I'm done with this. And I had done it for 7 years. And so when I quit vaping, I suddenly craved cigarettes again. And I thought, oh, please, no, I'm not going there.
Crazy.
Because I'm just like, going, I do not know. This is not a deity I want unhappy with me.
Right.
And by the way, it was cold turkey.
Wow.
It was cold turkey.
Wow.
It was a very difficult first 2 weeks.
I bet.
Because people at work would come up to me and I would like, what do you want? Leave me alone. So it's like, oh my goodness. Donna Nelson asked a question, and I thought it would be good because what tarot deck would be good for beginners?
Okay. I have a lot of suggestions. So
Good.
first of all, out of the ones that I'm going to suggest, you want to look at them online. There's a website, I think it's called tarot.com, excuse me, that allows you to look at the pictures of the deck
Mhm.
before you buy it, which is really helpful. You can look at all of them, all 78.
Yeah.
But there is any Rider Waite deck is probably a really good beginning, but if that seems boring or just doesn't appeal to you, there is a book that I always recommend to people, and it's sold as a set with the instructional book, and the instructional book is just like, like most of the books, not just the little white pamphlet, but it says, here's a couple of suggestions for spreads,
Yeah.
and here's what the cards mean. And this is called the Easy Gilded Tarot. And I
Okay.
still use the deck today because it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. And the book that she wrote to go with it is absolutely the best tarot instructional book that I've ever read. It's easy to understand.
Mhm.
She makes it very, very clear. Now, if you're more impatient and you just want to be able to throw down the cards and know what they mean, I believe on Etsy you can find cards that have the explanations written on the face of the
Yeah.
cards. And you can get those and practice with those. And those are going to, by and large, just be a Rider Waite deck. And if you don't know what a Rider Waite deck is, it's the ones with those. Do I have one here? I'll show you. It's the
I
one.
do.
Yeah, I have them too. So it's the ones that have these kind of pictures on it. This is the
Yep.
traditional Rider Waite.
Yep.
So you'll have pictures, in the bright colors and stuff like that. You can get the mini ones if these are too big for your hands or whatever. And if you get a Rider Waite deck, the thing is that you do kind of have to read through the little manuals that they come with, and you do somewhat need to know what's going on with the cards. So I'm going to suggest two books. One is the Aileen Connolly book. I think, what's it called? Learning Tarot or something. The Tarot Handbook. That's what it's called. The
Okay.
Tarot Handbook. And it used to be a peach colored book. I don't know if the cover's changed because
Yeah.
it's probably 40 years old, but it's a very good book. And then another one might be a little harder to find. You might have to go to a used bookshop site. It's called Choice Centered Tarot, and it's by, I think her name is Gail Fairchild. And it's wonderful because it breaks down the cards by what do the suits mean, but what do the numbers mean? What do the court
Mhm.
people mean? What do the major arcana mean in terms of symbols that you can remember and things that you can remember? And I still use those concepts today. Like, what do the fours mean? What do the fives mean?
Yeah.
And then you combine that with the suits and all of that stuff. And then after you've read through those books and chosen your deck and stuff, do that for a couple of months and then just put the books down. Then just
Mhm.
start looking at the cards
Start
and saying
practicing.
say what comes to your mind, because that's really important. But it is very good to actually get to know your deck. And I think the best method of getting to know your deck is to take the guidebook, the actual guidebook, give yourself a little throw, maybe not 10 cards, maybe 3 or 5
Yeah.
cards. Look up each card and write it down in your own
Uh-huh.
language. You don't have to do it for all 78 cards. Just do that for a couple of weeks and you'll be like, oh, I get how this deck is working. I get this. I do that for any new deck that I got. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Or go to tarot.com. This is what I did. I'm not a tarot reader, and I can see why, because I cannot memorize all that stuff. And so go to tarot.com and just do one of their free readings. I think they do, if they're still doing this, they did it for years and years and years, where you could pick out 3 cards,
Mhm.
and then you go through and pick your cards out
Yep.
electronically.
Yep.
And then they'll bring the card up and it says what that card means. So I did do a little bit of tarot research using tarot.com, but at the time, this was years ago, they've been around forever, that I just thought, no, tarot electronically could not possibly work. I should have stuck with it. It probably did work. But yeah, that I loved it that that they would bring up stuff and they would say what the card meant, and it was perfect. and it's easy. It's real easy. The easier it is, the more I like it.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of books. I think Mary K. Greer is a great author. It's, this is 21 ways to read a tarot card. She did Tarot for Yourself.
Yep.
Which is exceptionally good. My favorite, of course, is everybody knows it's the Robin Wood Tarot.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's very RWS based. And in fact, you can just get this book. It's a separate book. But but it's just like, there are lots of decks out there that have words on them and help them. I think what is important is that you get a deck that has images that you like looking at.
Yes, very important. Yeah, really
So,
important. Because you're not going to use it if you don't like it.
correct.
You're not gonna be relaxed enough to just let the images speak to you and tell you what the card means, because that's the ultimate goal, is you want to look at the card and just take whatever the symbology is telling you.
Yes. Well, and Cleo, you're talking about that, you don't really, you just started really learning tarot and using them. There are lots of different ways to read tarot. You can memorize the meanings. You can use it as an intuitive flash. For me, a lot of times it's a gateway. It is a key that unlocks the mediumship and the channeling and the messages. So, works for you.
And there's, because adults have different ways of learning, and we also have lots of different ways of communicating and memorizing things. And, not everybody is cut out to sit there and look at the cards and memorize even 2 or 3 key words about the cards. They're just going to go straight to looking at what does the image means. But then other people are a little more nervous about it, and it gives them security and comfort to know what the cards mean. And that's helpful. But when you're going to learn the cards, don't believe that you're going to sit down in one afternoon and learn all the cards. Know that it's going to take over the course of time, and it's much easier to learn it that way. Just do maybe 4 or 5 cards at a time, and just kind of master those cards and then go on to the other ones.
Yeah.
And by master, I don't mean memorize them. I mean, however you're going to end up reading it, just do that for 4 or 5 cards. Just really work with those cards and then go on to the next 4 or 5 cards.
Well, and all the things you guys are talking about, and since I've been on YouTube, and I didn't know that you could just do randomly whatever comes to your mind with the picture on a card. I thought you had to memorize everything, and it still doesn't resonate with me. But that doesn't, that's not really a terrible thing. It's not my thing. I just don't think I'll ever really super get the cards. I like the oracle cards much better than the tarot cards. And but it's not that important to me. But on the other hand, I just love the way everybody else is doing it. And you guys are bringing up cards that are like little pencil sketches, like stick people and stuff, that I'm like, really? Put the poop card. I'm like, when did that fit in the tarot? I mean, I just love it that there's a variety of stuff going on here on YouTube, and how well people, that's what the tarot readers are good at. They're professionals at looking at these things and what it says to them and how it relates to a question. To me, you might as well just be talking a different language, but I love watching it. I love what they do, and everybody is so good at it.
Well, I do have to say, I have a playlist on my channel called Tarot the Stash Way. And so I was talking about how to look at tarot and how to learn tarot. And I started with the court cards, because the court cards seem to be the ones that are the most confusing for people, and they don't have to be. They don't have to be. So I think, okay, so we're at 1 hour and 20 minutes, and there's some great questions that we're not going to be able to get to, but I want to find out, what is bringing you each joy right now?
Oh, I know this sounds just like really kind of superficial, but getting more subscribers gives me joy.
For sure.
But the reason that it does is because I really hope that I can read for a lot of people, because I really feel like, when you get that moment where the reading is really zoning in on what they need to hear, it's very, very helpful. And I really feel good about helping people that way. And maybe I don't know their whole world and their whole problem, but for that, 15, 20 minutes, I'm zeroing in on something that they need help with, and I'm helping them.
Yeah.
And so the more people I can do that for, the bet that's really exciting to me. That's really nice.
I love it.
Yeah, and for me, it's just being on here and doing this and this constant enlightenment. And one thing I did say to myself years ago when I realized I was finally coming out of the funk that I had been in, I thought, really, I would love to help people. And I used to work in the medical field, and I love doing that. I love that I was helping people somehow. So, and that's really what the spirit guides are doing. They're just helping people, and we're giving them a voice. And I really want to do that. If there's something I can say or do to help another person, I want to be able to do that. I can't believe I'm in this position to possibly do that.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, spending time with the two of you has brought me a lot of joy, and it continues to bring me joy because
Yay.
Val introduced me to Cleo, and Cleo introduced me to Colleen. So I can blame Val.
Yeah, you can blame Val.
So, but Cleo, do you identify as a middle child?
Yeah. Both me and my brother are like the middle child, and then Colleen's the youngest, and then the other brother we've been talking about, he was the oldest.
I'm the baby.
So I'm, and it's kind of followed me through life. I'm more middle of the road than anything else, not too far one way or the other. Where Colleen kind of just excels in certain things, and she's just a different kind of person. But yes, I do identify with that.
I'm like Colleen because I like to say mom and dad stopped when they got it right.
Aw. Yes, of course. Oh.
So, oh my gosh. Any last thoughts that either of you would like to share before we head off?
No, this has just been great. This has been really fun. I mean,
Thank you.
Thank
you, Gerald.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I mean, there's nothing I love better than spending an hour and a half talking about myself. I mean, gotta be honest,
But Gerald, not just for this show, but for all the shows that you've invited me onto, because when I first ran into your group, I was absolutely unknown, and you didn't know if I'd be able to do it or not. I wasn't so sure myself, and I just, I've gotten a lot out of, especially the Mystic Four. It's probably my favorite group. And you were talking about Val. She is absolutely amazing.
Love Val.
And I've learned so much. I've learned so much from all of you, Val, Allison, and Gerald on Mystic Four, and then Caffeinated and Unfiltered has just been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, Gerald, thank you. And thank you for bringing us together to do this. It's
You're
been
welcome. You're welcome.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Yes. So everyone, thank you so very much for being here. Do like and subscribe to all of our channels. Links are below, or they will be below. We appreciate it. And, Colleen would like to get to how many subscribers before the
5,000.
equinox? 5,000?
I'm pretty close. I don't know what I'm at, but I just need a few hundred more, and then I will be there. So
cool. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. You all have been great. We will talk with you again soon.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.